Hello, and welcome back for more of the forms of the Maxi Toys videos, and I am the one and only Jewel here, and ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for more of the forms of the Mega Man Marathon 2. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Mega Man The Wily Wars for the Sega Mega Drive / Sega Genesis. So, last time we've managed to able to completely done with the forms of the third game in the series in this entire compilation, which appears to be Mega Man 3. And today, this will actually be the grand finale in terms of the forms of this entire Let's Play of Mega Man The Wily Wars. And that is the fact that we're going to be able to tackle through the fourth and the final game of this entire compilation, and that's what appears to be Wily Tower. So this might actually be the most interesting games of this entire whole lot for the sake of this entire compilation, but first we got ourselves a story to follow. You metallic moron, I'm not finished with you yet. I still have a few hundred tricks up my sleeve. These 3 robots were specially designed to smash you like a tin can. Try not to go to pieces, Mega Man. Ha 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 ha. Oh, I see what you're doing there, Dr. Wiley. So yeah, as you can see, that we actually stumbled across those 3 new robots to able to see in action. Such as, for instance, we have Mega Water S, Buster Rod G, and Hyperstorm H. So either way though, that does seem pretty interesting, all things considered. So I think we should probably take care of the forms of the first robot out of the way, which appears to be Mega Water S. In this case, WWN-02. So in this case though, I just want to classify that for the sake of that particular code name. So anyways, what's different about the forms of how it does it on any other Mega Man games is that, as you can see, that we actually got ourselves the actual weapon storage. Like, usually we got ourselves 8 slots and 3 items to carry with us. So meaning about the fact that we ended up in the light lab, and basically though is the fact that you can able to choose not only certain Mega Man 1 weapons, but also Mega Man 2 weapons and Mega Man 3 weapons, and you can able to actually choose whatever which specific powers you want to go for. Which I will say, that is a pretty cool concept in terms of the forms of Wily's Tower mode, because you can able to actually do like a massive combinations with certain Mega Man's powers you can able to have to your disposal, and of course you can able to actually equip any of those items as ones you are able to actually equip, so something like that as well. So for instance, I managed to able to equip Rush Jet, Rush Coil, and Magnet Beam from the likes of Mega Man 1. Now if you're probably wondering why I skipped over, you know, item 1, 2, and 3 from the likes of Mega Man 2, well, this is mainly because I still kind of prefer Magnet Beam for its you know, just trying to able to bypass those frustrating sections, and of course the Rush Coil and Rush Jet because, you know, Rush is awesome, you know. So here we go, let's get through with the forms of the Wily Tower game in terms of the forms of Mega Man The Wily Wars. So because of this though, yeah, today's day is of course the 30th of August today, in this case in 2022 today, so I believe we've naturally only got about 2 more days left now until we moved on to the 9th month, which is, to be more specific, September. So because of that though, and relatively speaking, is the fact that I cannot actually believe that we're actually getting really close towards the end of this entire Let's Play of Mega Man The Wily Wars, and also on top of all that stuff though, we're able to also conclude everything for the likes of Mega Man Marathon number 2. So even then though, I will say that if I managed to look back on the forms of the past Let's Plays that we have done from the likes of the forms of in this year in the likes of Mega Man Marathon 2, for, you know, just trying to able to celebrate the 35th anniversary of the likes of the Mega Man franchise after all, after the events of 1987, when Mega Man was first released on the NES or the Famicom in Japan. And I will say though, that it is definitely a lot of fun whenever I do manage able to play certain Mega Man games, that's for sure. And also I just realized is the fact that I somehow managed able to still got myself 9 lives with me. I'm pretty sure it might actually be the exact same thing, and that was when let's just say, for example, from the likes of Sonic Adventure 2, like, if you grab certain amount of extra lives, assuming if you're able to actually just to do, not only the hero side story, but also the dark side story, and basically, though, after you complete those, stories into one, basically, you would be able to actually access the final story, in this case, the last story, and basically, the actual lives you'll be carrying are basically shared, combined. So I'm pretty sure it's kind of like the same thing in here, so at least unlike the forms of how it does it on Sonic 06, that if you're trying to able to tackle through the last story segment, unfortunately though, your lives will be still locked behind the forms of just 5 lives as opposed to like combined lives, which I honestly have no idea why they managed able to go for that decision, but either way though, that's just usually as far as I can say about it, so... Anyway, so structurally speaking is the fact that it plays out exactly like, you know what I mean, Mega Man 1, 2, and 3. That's basically though is the fact that we still need to able to make our way to the boss room at the very end, and yeah, that's pretty much just to be expected by this point. But thanks to the forms of how the fact that you can able to actually choose whatever weapons or items you want to pick, so it doesn't matter that it's entirely up to you, for the sake of the forms of what weapons you might as well use. Especially noticeable if you have yourselves a really enjoyable time with Wily's Tower so far, then I will say, this is one of the coolest modes ever, just because of not only for its new levels, but also you're able to face off against one of those 3 new robots to take down, such as for instance, we've already taken down Mega Water S, and his weakness is either the forms of Ice Slasher and Hyper Bomb, or I don't know, Hyper Bomb, or Atomic Fire from Mega Man 2, or Surge Snake from Mega Man 3. So it doesn't matter what powers you'll be using. Well, to be honest with you, I always attempt able to use Surge Snake the most notably because it actually does like very well when it comes to dealing with grounded enemies and such. So because of that, yeah, but as I was saying, you know, Mega Water S's weakness is obviously Ice Slasher and Hyper Bomb for Mega Man 1, that's what I meant to say, and like I said, Atomic Fire for Mega Man 2, and Surge Snake for Mega Man 3, so yeah, I guess that begs the question for the sake of the forms of certain weaknesses and all that stuff. So here we go, on to the next stage, which appears to be Hyperstorm H, which I'm guessing it's like a heavy type or something like that. But either way though, we'll just get this thing to it. So in this case though, we're just gonna have to deal with these little jerk-off hammer throw like enemies and all that stuff though, ever since in Mega Man 3. I think the last time we've seen these guys was actually by the forms of, although, what's cool about this mode also is the fact that they usually manage to able to contain not only certain enemies from the likes of Mega Man 1, 2, and 3, but also they managed to able to incorporate certain similar obstacles that we've already come across into from the likes of Mega Man 1, 2, and 3. Such as, for instance, that you notice that we actually stumbled across these little needle stuff ever since in Needle Man stage from Mega Man 3, and I think also these little guys right here, I think those are originated from Gemini Man stages when it comes to the Dark Robot segments and stuff like that. So in this case though, there's not much else to honestly try to talk about for the sake of time. So anyways, wow, I got another extra life. Well, despite the fact that my life's counter is already maxed out into 9, because I was expecting if I was trying to able to get even more extra lives to make the entire journey a lot more comfortable and just a total breeze to go through, but apparently I don't seem able to actually just to get the idea of how, you know, we pretty much locked behind the forms of 9 lives as opposed to just so many of them, so... And also, you know these little rotating platforms right here? Yeah, we have seen those ever since in the Dark Robot segment in Sparkman stage. So in this case though, is the fact that those platforms might be familiar to you. And same applies to those enemies here and there as well, like as we already take one of them down, which is actually based off from Mega Man 2, on in certain variety of levels basically. And also speaking of the forms of that other kinds of enemies, there's another enemy that usually comes down that is heavily borrowed from Mega Man 3. So yeah, you get the idea about that. And every once in a while though, there might be some secret areas that you can able to actually access to when it comes to utilizing certain weapons. Like for instance, if you come across into, well, obviously the green walls, as you probably already know from the likes of in Mega Man 3, then basically that is the fact that Hard Knuckle will able to do the job. However though, if we come across into the forms of the orangey type blocks, that's basically though that we need to able to equip you know, Crash Bomber until you're able to actually destroy that particular wall. So yeah, I always attempt able to actually noticing this from the start. So and also still I really love the actual metal blades because, you know, this weapon is awesome, especially that, you know, it can able to actually deal with a lot of enemies in certain directions as far as I'm aware. So I think we'll go ahead and equip you know, Crash Bomber for a bit to able to take on, of course, the next boss in Wily Tower, which is of course Hyperstorm H. And jeez Louise, he actually got 2 health bars within the exact same amount, I guess. Mind you, because he's the more of a tougher robot compared to any other robot masters for that matter, so plus he's big too. So anyways, in this entire battle, basically is the fact that we need to take him down while trying to able to deal with the forms of his little blowing ability, which can sometimes you able to get sucked in, or you can able to actually just guarantee that you might able to actually get blown back. And also you have to watch out for spikes doing that as well. And I believe unlike in other spikes, that's basically though is the fact that I'm presuming if you dare touch the spike wall, I'm pretty sure it doesn't instantly kills you or something like that, although I'm not exactly 100% sure. Mainly it's because, well, it has been, although to be fair though, for the sake of time for this point guys, this is actually my first time playing through Wily Tower on my own life. Because obviously I haven't exactly experienced Wily Tower mode for some time until now in 2022. So I thought I was able to noticing this from the start. So anyway, for Heavy Storm H, in terms of the weakness though, for the sake of certain weapons, he's weak to Hyper Bomb and Firestorm from the likes of in Mega Man 1, and Atomic Fire, Crash Bomber, and Metal Blade from Mega Man 2, and as for Mega Man 3, Gemini Laser, Shadow Blade, and Spark Shock. So yeah, interesting weakness combinations as far as I'm concerned. So either way though, yeah, that's pretty much about it for the likes of you know, that particular stage that we've already tackled through, which is pretty obvious, Hyperstorm H. So now let's move on to the forms of the last robots before we take on the forms of the Wily's Tower itself. And that's what it appears to be, Buster Raj G. So this might be interesting. So either way though, it does manage to take place like a grassy kind of nature to it. So we can expect we can able to actually decide able to just, well, go for the level as normal. So, and also we stumbled across those familiar cloud platforms ever since in Snake Man stage in Mega Man 3. So yeah, you get the idea about that. So I would like to able to actually discuss upon more details about the forms of news, infos, or anything else to be more specific. But to be honest with you guys, since that we pretty much not only almost nearly at the end for the sake of the forms of Mega Man The Wily Wars Let's Play, but also the entire marathon for the entire year, for the likes of the forms of 2022, for the certain Mega Man games that we haven't touched upon. I know there's technically one more Mega Man game left before we dive right into the Mega Man X series. That will be the next series we're going to be tackling through. That's what appears to be Mega Man Powered Up for the PSP, which I was expecting if I was trying to able to do that Let's Play for you guys. But I need to find the actual recording method for the actual trying to able to capture footage on, well, certain PSP Let's Plays, because as far as I'm aware, it's been 6 years ago since we last did the forms of certain PSP Let's Plays, ever since in both, well, let's just say back in 2014 we did done Sonic Rivals 1, and in 2016 we have done Sonic Rivals 2. Despite the quality is a bit meh, and the commentary itself, while it might be something to do with the bad sound mixing once again. But I do definitely note there was actually a cool accessory for the PSP called the PSP TV cable, which it only be accessible if you guys manage to able to own the PSP 2000 model as well as the 3000 model. Luckily for me, I managed to able to still got myself the 3000 version, in this case my preferred PSP, because you know, a really good contrast, and as well as from that, well, just a cool design in general. So, once we get around on the forms of that PSP TV cable in the future, well, after we're done with this entire marathon of Mega Man Marathon 2, then we can probably be able to actually just decide to do Mega Man Powered Up for the PSP, and then that will basically be good to go, for the sake of the forms of the entire classic Mega Man games, before we move on to Mega Man X, and especially noticeable with Mega Man 0 and ZX, thanks to the forms of the Legacy Collection that we still managed to get on our Nintendo Switch platform. So because of that though, I am very pleased about the forms of having the majority of the Mega Man series of games now, apart from only one exception, which appears to be Mega Man Legends trilogy. Well, I say trilogy because, well, usually what I mean by that, they're involved around, you know, Tron Bonne, which, of course, you know exactly what I'm gonna say, Mega Man Legends 1, and The Misadventures of Tron Bonne, and Mega Man Legends 2. So that'll be the only ones I need next to able to complete the entire Mega Man series. Well, apart from another series that I wasn't really fond of, and that's what appears to be Mega Man.exe, but that's mainly because it's almost like an RPG kind of game, which I wasn't exactly the master at it, so... Anyways, here's the forms of Buster Rod G, which as you can see, he does manage to able to got himself his rod. And basically though, is the fact that, well, I always tend to choose the actual, the needle cannon. So that way we can able to actually deal some bit of damage. But if you're trying to able to fire the projectile while he's trying to do this attack, basically though, it actually deflected back. So... this particular robot right here can be a bit tricky to deal with, but at least if you're able to get good shots at him, then obviously you might as well be good to go. Well, assuming that the rod is actually doing a ridiculous amount of damage on me. But anyways, let's go ahead and just keep on doing slight little jumps while trying to time ourselves correctly, and... oh jeez, okay, come on. Alright, one more hit should do it, and... wait a second. Oh, he got away. Okay, so he's not defeated yet. So, I guess that he'll meet us on the later level? I wonder. So, anyway, now we're done with him, apparently, since we haven't exactly defeated him, though. So, once all three robots have been technically defeated, well, two of them are defeated, but one exception. But either way, let's head on to the forms of the Wily's Tower. Now, as far as the actual weapon choice, I might as well replace. I think I'll replace my needle cannon to, let's just say, leaf shield, because I will say that the leaf shield is probably the coolest weapon to have if you have struggling just trying to able to defend yourself. So that's why I'm essentially going to do that. So as far as the actual, the first encounter with the actual weakness for, you know, Buster Rod G, the first encounter with him, I should say, because obviously we'll meet up with him again during later on in the forms of Wily Tower. The first encounter with him's weakness though is Hyper Bomb and Rolling Cutter from Mega Man 1, Air Shooter and Atomic Fire, Bubble Lead, and Quick Boomerang from Mega Man 2, and Hard Knuckle and Needle Cannon, which I did manage to use from Mega Man 3. So yeah, that will be the entire weakness for him. So I guess that's pretty much as far as we can say about it. So anyways, let's get into the forms of the Wily's Tower, essentially. So because of that though, I think there's only 4 stages on that particular Wily's Tower. Kind of think about it though. Although, mind you though, is the fact that I will say, I really do enjoy the actual music in this particular stages like this. Especially noticeable because, that may actually be the most underrated music I've ever heard in a Mega Man game. This is pretty obvious because, well, as I said, ever since in the beginning portion of this entire Let's Play of Mega Man The Wily Wars, that I felt incredibly bad for North American players out there that who never actually got the physical copies of, you know, Mega Man The Wily Wars. But still, luckily for you guys out there, you can still able to experience this game either on the emulator or the Sega Mega Drive / Sega Genesis Classic Mini, because thankfully this game was included, along with the forms of, you know, Castlevania Bloodlines, aka Castlevania A New Generation, known as that game in Europe. So Oh, and by the way, much like the forms of how it does it on Mega Man 2 and Mega Man 3, basically though, you can still able to collect those energy tanks. If you manage to able to low on health, then obviously you can able to find them on certain spots. Oh god, this platform right there. This platform makes a return ever since in Mega Man 1 in Gutsman stage, in addition to Dr. Wily stage 4 on Mega Man 1 as well. So, yeah, I think... Can I able to actually use the Magnet Beam on this particular section? I'm not exactly sure, but I might as well give it a try. Nah, it doesn't seem able to go reach, but I'm just gonna have to... Oh, jeez Louise. Okay. Whatever. We'll just gonna have to cope with this anyway, though. So, anyways, let's go ahead and use our... Let's just say a Mega Buster, because the next boss fight is gonna be quite interesting, and that it appears to be by the forms of... Well... After that platform just fall down, and oh my god, we have ourselves our Fire Snakey. Okay, interesting boss. So basically all you have to do in this boss fight is the fact that I'm pretty sure you get able to deal with the forms of just keep on attacking him. I know he does have his weakness, which appears to be Bubble Lead, but unfortunately though, I'm gonna have to do this the hard way by doing with the forms of the actual you know, the Mega Buster. So either way though, I was expecting if I was trying to able to show you guys his weakness, but somehow I just didn't. So, oh well, we'll just have to stick around with it, I suppose. So, because I know for the fact that, you know, relatively speaking, just like Heatman from Mega Man 2, that Bubble Lead weapon is very good when it comes to dealing out with fire-type enemies and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. And also what's cool about that particular boss is the fact that you have to utilize those springy stuff in order able to jump up slightly, so that way you can able to get a good aiming shot by able to actually get the actual specific weak spot on, you know, Fire Snakey and stuff like that. So yeah, that's pretty much that. So now let's move on to Dr. Wily's Tower, Stage 2. So in this case though, I believe the majority of this place is going to take place in underwater this whole time, similar to the forms of in one of those levels in, you know, in Wily Tower mode, essentially. So, yeah, I guess that's that. And of course, we still need to able to be very careful not to not only get crushed by these little spiky stuff ever since in Metal Man stage from Mega Man 2, and same applies to I don't know, stage 2 in Dr. Wily's Fortress in Mega Man 2. So, and of course, spikes we still need to watch out for. So, yeah, that's pretty much as far as I can say about it. No, I don't want Rush Jets, because Rush Jets might be useless in underwater, because we can just jump higher and then just call it a day. So, and yeah, much like in Mega Man 3, there were a few times though that you will come across into those random item boxes here and there if you come across into certain secret areas that you haven't encountered yet. But either way though, let's just see what's in here though. Just I don't know, like weapon pickups or just health pickups or something like that. Well, I have no words to say, because I just have, well, I got not much anything else to say in terms of the forms of how Wily's Tower plays out. I mean, this is such a cool mode, especially noticeable after, like, again, in order to able to unlock Wily Tower, the final game of this entire compilation, basically though is the fact that, like I said, since in yesterday, that basically though you have to complete all 3 games into one save file, and if you do that, then you would able to actually access this one last challenge in the game, which is of course Wily Tower. So because of that though, I just really love to see if the next Mega Man game was involved. Basically though, you're able to add it in an extra game into it though, but either way though, there's not much else to say. So, and of course we come across this particular familiar enemy from the mini boss ever since in Woodman stage. So, but obviously it takes place in a different environment. So, and also, since we've already come across into those very annoying disappearing blocks, well, luckily for Rush Jet, you can able to actually skip the entire portion. Seriously, that's the only thing I really loved about the forms of Wily Tower, that you can able to actually do a massive combination for not only, you know, added in Magnet Beam from Mega Man 1, but also just added in the Rush parts here and there as well. Like, you know, a really cool Rush Jet, and also Rush Coil for reach higher places. And you can also add it in, you know, Item 1 or Item 2, if you wish, from the likes of in Mega Man 2. But honestly though, I just rarely used it on rare occasions, apart from few mandatory sections from the likes of in, you know, the majority of the Dr. Wily stages, basically. So, like, you know, with the stupid turn boss and all that stuff though, you probably already know what I'm gonna say, so... And I believe, much like the forms of in Mega Man 3 though, when it comes to energy tanks though, I believe you can carry up to 9 of them, just like the forms of in Mega Man 3. So, unlike in Mega Man 2, you only have to carry like 4 of them, so that begs the question for that sake of time, so... Anyway, so let's go ahead and continue on here, and just try to able to just be very careful not to get hit by certain stuff as far as this is concerned. So as long as we don't able to actually get ourselves a stun of the knockback until we don't fall down to this hole down there. And also there's going to be a huge emphasis on certain segments that we have to do with conveyor belts ever since in Blade Man Station Mega Man 2. So yeah, that's pretty much about that. So in fact, let me know in the comments below for the question of the day. Have you guys ever first experienced the forms of Wily Tower mode from the likes of in Mega Man The Wily Wars? Because I will say that this is the coolest mode ever, like I said, because obviously that not only does it bring in new levels, but also new types of boss fights, and also this music is such a jam to listen to, especially that most people never actually heard of this music before, because like I said, North Americans didn't actually get the physical copy of the game, because like I said, they only can play the game as in the Sega channel, which appears to be like a network service or something like that. Well, as far as I've already, you know, explained that already, from the beginning portion of this Let's Play in general, so... Alright, so I'm not doing so bad anyway, so I feel like that we've almost done with this particular stage. I mean, sure, this stage can be a bit lengthy though, because obviously I always want to make sure I need to double check on certain areas that I've missed, or specifically in some secrets that I was able to come across into, so... Oh gosh, this guy. I still have no idea why. I'm just gonna have to be able to just, you know, skip him and then just get into the next boss fight already. I do apologize for that my commentary gets a little bit slightly hiccupy at this point, because I'm pretty sure my tongue is actually still twisting again, so I do apologize for that. What the heck is up with this thing? Oh, wait a second, this appears to be Iron Bull. Okay, an Iron Bull, the next boss in Wily Tower. And basically, all you have to do, the weakness you have to be able to take him down is either Thunder Beam or Shock, because obviously both of those weapons are electrified kind of weapons. So I think I highly recommend you're able to actually use Thunder Beam a lot, because not only does it able to deal with the forms of the horizontal shots, but also vertical shots as well. So because of that though, pretty easy when you get the hang of it though. So yeah, piece of cake. And I think we're actually on the halfway point, right now anyway, for the Wily's Tower itself. Gotta say, I really do like the actual, the tower itself. Like, it almost kind of reminds me like a, well, I don't know how do I usually describe about this, because, like I said, this is my first time experiencing this particular, mode itself, because, well, I'm just so excited, able to actually see how this, particular thing plays out to be, so... Anyways, let's move on to stage number 3 for Wily's Tower. So, man, I really love the actual visuals in the background. It's almost like a space kind of vibe to it, which it does look pretty dang cool and awesome at the same time. But anyways, though, so let's go in and... Oh, jeez. Ugh. Alright. Just gonna have to just use the metal blade and hope for the best. Okay. Thankfully, we've got the health pickup, so we can able to actually just regenerate our health. Oh, and by the way, unlike the forms of how it does it on the forms of in Mega Man 1, 2, and 3, that every time you move on to the forms of the next level, from the likes of certain Dr. Wily fortresses, or even a tower in this case, basically though, I'm pretty sure the weapons have been revealed immediately before you move on to the next stage. So yeah, that seems pretty awesome, especially noticeable that unlike, you know, like I said, the other 3 titles, that as you can tell, that we've already technically managed able to use quite often for the likes of the Elect Beam, or something like that. And then basically though, is the fact that when you complete one of those stages, if you somehow managed able to accidentally waste all of your Elect Beam, when I did manage able to already deal out with Iron Bull, And then basically though, if we move on to the next Dr. Wily Tower stage, basically all the weapons will be regenerate completely. So, pretty cool though. In fact, that was before when, I would say Mega Man 7 were able to actually do it before that. And as well as Mega Man 8, and even Mega Man and Bass for the Super Famicom or Game Boy Advance. And even before Mega Man 11. So yeah, that seems pretty cool to be able to actually noticing this from the start. But anyway, so let's go ahead and just change it back to Metal Blade because, you know, I just feel like it. Because, you know, I always love this weapon so much. Because, you know, since that's Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and Super Smash Bros. For the 3DS and the Wii U, that's it basically though, they obviously managed able to have Metal Blade as a moveset for Mega Man. So yeah, that's actually super dope and cool. Although, that's kind of unfortunate that ever since yesterday, like I said, since yesterday, that's unfortunately farewell to our Wii U and 3DS owners for eShop. So yeah, I somehow managed able to create a gravestone for those two pretty cool consoles able to have, you know, eShop applications. So it's kind of unfortunate that those two eShop applications must go. Especially, the one thing I forgot to mention about is the fact that in addition to able to missing out on DLC stuff from the likes of Mega Man, no, not Mega Man, from the likes of the forms of New Super Mario Bros. U and also Mario Kart 8 and even Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U. And also say applies to Hyrule Warriors, but there's also some DLC from Sonic Lost World for the Wii U that usually it's for free. Well, most of them for free, which are the Yoshi's Island Zone and the Legend of Zelda Zone, which I'm still felt very so sorry. Although, technically speaking, thankfully for certain mods out there for the PC version of Sonic Lost World, thankfully there's actually some mods with those two zones, so at the very least, they were able to actually access to them immediately if you're trying to download them. So yeah, that's pretty fine I suppose for PC owners. So, and there was also what else is there? I honestly forgot because, well, it has been quite a few hours since I actually mentioned about something like this because, well, I'm just, you know, kind of felt a bit depression for... Oh! I forgot about the forms of the microtransactions, you know, Apple Gems from the likes of, you know, Team Kirby Clash Deluxe on the 3DS because that game does have a microtransactions for, you know, buying certain gem apples and stuff like that. So yeah, it's kind of unfortunate that you can't able to actually upgrade your Apple Tree at the moment because, well, the currency for, you know, utilizing eShop cards is no longer valued or something like that. Oh, hello. So we did manage to bump into each other, aren't we? Buster Rod G. So yeah, he does make a return ever since in his own stage, so now we got to deal with him for the second time. And I'm presuming his weakness is actually a little bit differently this time. Although, mind you though, it might be kind of identical. Well, apart from quite a few differences here and there. Like, obviously I did manage able to use Hard Knuckle this time around because it deals a lot of damage. And you can also just manage to use the Magnet Missile and also Needle Cannon for the weakness of weapons for him anyway. So speaking of his weakness though, his weakness for the second encounter was obviously Rolling Cutter from Mega Man 1, so that's a little bit different. And for Mega Man 2, Air Shooter, Atomic Fire, and Leaf Shield of all things from Mega Man 2. And as for Mega Man 3, Hard Knuckle, which I did use, Magnet Missile, and Needle Cannon. So yeah, that's pretty easy if you managed able to use Hard Knuckle because, wow, we did simply manage to beat him no problem during that time. So, alright. So here we are on to the final stage, and not only in Wily's Tower, but also the entire game, which is of course the Wily's Tower Stage 4. So we know exactly what this is going to bring us into, which it'll able to bring us into the final battle against with Dr. Wily, after when he's trying to deal with the time traveling kind of stuff. Oh, speaking of such, we have Proto Man. How's it going, bro? And he'll open up the actual entrance for us, just like in the forms of how it does it in the forms of the Gemini Man stage from in Mega Man 3, so nothing different from there, apart from the fact that, wow, that level's really short. this level is so short, especially noticeable. I was very surprised. I wasn't expecting if they were able to actually bring us something a bit more, I don't know, it's hard to explain because I know for a fact that I was able to try to explain something like this, but anyway, time for the final boss time in Mega Man The Wily Wars in Wily Tower. And basically we have, well, I think this particular boss is called Wily Machine. No number specifically, just calls it Wily Machine and that's it. So basically this boss fight has 3 phases. So in this case, the first phase we need to take down his legs. I was able to use Crash Bomber to able to deal with a good amount of damage. Although his weakness on this legs part, his weakness is obviously the Thunder Beam, which I never actually used. However though, whenever we get to the second phase and the third and final phase, although we'll point it out whenever we get into it though, so in this case here we go on to the second phase of the fight, and basically though we need to able to hop onto those little fisticuffs, and then basically though if you hop into one of them and basically just keep shooting the Thunder Beam to able to deal with quite a bit of damage on this guy. Although you can able to cheese your whole way through for this entire boss fight by not only take the invincibility frames, but also just trying to aim yourselves with the Thunder Beam like in a vertical shot, so that way it deals quite a good damage on that particular weak spot. Although the second part's weakness too is obviously Hard Knuckle, and the third and final phase, here we have Dr. Wily himself, and of course his weakness is obviously Thunder Beam, so yeah, we can expect this much, so only a few hits on him, and he should be down, no sweat. And there we go, that pretty much concludes not only Wily Tower, but also the entire Mega Man The Wily Wars. So, take that Dr. Wily, you lose, and he obviously begged for forgiveness again, just like in any other Mega Man games, that's for sure. But yeah, pretty swell. And what's this? Oh god, I almost first thought that was actually like a point orb from the likes of in Mega Man 1. But apparently though, it appears to be like a trap. But anyway. So it looks like Wily's tower is being crumbled to pieces. And that's pretty much about it for the likes of the Wily's tower. So, and in the end sequence though, I'm pretty sure that Mega Man keeps on chasing Dr. Wily. Just for the sake of likely just almost gonna be petrified and stuff like that. So, yeah, let's give my final thoughts of Mega Man The Wily Wars as the entire game. I think this game is, I'm not gonna lie, pretty awesome, especially noticeable about the fact that it's nice able to go back into Mega Man 1, 2, and 3 again, but this time within 16-bit version. And also, I do really enjoy the visuals in the game, although that some of these sprites may look a bit weird at first, but I'm pretty much used to it. And the gameplay still looks spectacular to able to take control of. The story itself looks very interesting because of the forms of the time travel and stuff like that from Dr. Wily, despite most people not a big fan of time traveling plot elements to it. But regardless of everything else though, the visuals do look great even on the Mega Drive. The soundtrack is pretty good, even though nowhere near as perfect as the forms of the iconic NES equivalent. But apart from those side things though, it's actually not too bad. And finally, the controls are pretty dang good. So I think the only negative things about this game though, or the only negative things I can think about this game though, is the fact that, well, I will say that the amount of slowdown they have, if you do manage to play the game on the emulator, are a bit awkward and just not nice for looking for some. Because obviously that, well, the slowdown might be the weakest aspect of the game. But apart from that though, you should still definitely recommend playing this game, especially noticeable if you guys able to actually have any plans to able to actually buy the Sega Mega Drive Mini or Genesis Mini for those of you who lived in America. I highly recommend you play this game. It is definitely one of the coolest Mega Man games ever, and especially noticeable with this coolest Mega Man compilation game that's ever came out of. So, and I suppose, and I'm sure enough Dr. Wily's managed to get away again, so nothing surprising there, until maybe Mega Man 4, but either way though, that's not the end of the actual Dr. Wily schemes anytime soon. So thank you guys so much for watching our Let's Play of Mega Man The Wily Wars, and that's pretty much all of the Mega Man games for this entire marathon. So join us tomorrow for the Mega Man Marathon 2. It's going to be the epilogue, so that way we can tell you guys about the recap of those Let's Plays and we can able to enjoy them. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Later, fellas.